Sure. So at 11:35, or sorry, this was 1:15 is when this call came in. The origination address was 1135 North Twickenham. This is up on East Capitol side, up in the foothills behind me. There was initial calls that a grass fire was threatening homes in the area. Crews arrived and they did find that the fire was encroaching on some of the property up there, some of the homes. At this point, I don't have any information on what kind of damage may have been done to those homes, but from what I've been told, we have not had a structure fire proper at this point. So there's probably some superficial damage. We've got a little over 45 firefighters on scene right now. This is just Salt Lake City Fire. We've also got some help from the state on this. They're wildland crews. You can see we've got some helicopters in the air and some planes that are dropping retardant. The helicopters are dropping water from a local source, and the retardant drops have been effective in slowing the fire down. This fire is coming out of the east, so the wind right now is coming out of the northeast, and it's kind of pushing this fire downhill a little bit. So this is a good thing for the homes because all the homes are on the east side, and so the fire on the east side is primarily out. And what we're doing is we're trying to work on the head of the fire, which is the west side of the fire. We did have one injury, a civilian injury that occurred. I don't have any details on that other than it was minor in severity. We also had some hikers. There was a trail runner. There's a popular trail running trails up here. And a trail runner came down and said that she had passed some elderly females up on the trail. Prior to noticing the fire, they were still on their way up. So we deployed a few more apparatus in the area to try and find those hikers and bring them off the hill safely. In our efforts, they had made their way down by themselves and were uninjured. So they're both clear of the area. There are no evacuations ordered at this time, and I don't expect there to be as long as we continue to make progress and the weather participates with us. We do have some road closures. Road closures are up on Dorchester. There's numerous road closures. We've got a lot of apparatus. It's severely congested. If you don't need to be up there, please don't be up there. And also Victory Road, where we're standing right now. This is north of the Capitol. From Victory Road to Beck Street is closed completely. So if you don't need to be in this area, please don't, and try to avoid it. I don't expect any other things to pop off that is severely to be any much of a problem. It does look like we're getting a pretty good handle on this fire, but there still is active fire this time. Any questions?
Captain, any word on a cause or anything like that, about how this might have started?
Not at this point. This is pretty early in the fire. There were no witnesses that have come forward at this point, and we don't have any cause this time.
Can you clarify about evacuations? Because I saw that some people were reporting that there were evacuations in place.
So initially there may have been some self-evacuations and even some impromptu evacuations from the first and fire crews. If people were in the area, this is not untypical for us to say, I need you to leave the area, we're going to be working here. That's not what I would consider a true evacuation. What I was referring to would be like a wide area evacuation where we evacuate a whole neighborhood in anticipation of something happening. And we did not do any of that.
Captain, I know you and your team, you were on this quick. I know part of the strategy this year with how dry conditions are, send everything you have out all at once, especially early in the season. You have a lot of resources, and this is an example of what you've been talking about for months now.
Correct. Our response here is just as it would be in the middle of winter, honestly. Although since it's red flag-like conditions, I'm not positive today if it is a red flag, but we are aware of the dry grass and the winds, and we discuss this every morning with our crews and determine our plan of attack. And everybody in the Salt Lake City Fire Department is ready for something like this to occur. We've had a fire. I've been on a couple of fires in the same area. We've done this one before. We kind of understand how it will typically act. This is part of our job, but this is a typical response we do when it gets really hot and dry. We do end up sending a little bit more resource.
I have a job to say. Can you talk about the process right now, how they're tackling the fire at the moment?
Sure. So combination attack. So we've got crews on the ground with hand tools. That's a pretty widely used attack for a wildland fire. Dirt and shovels work really well to attack small flame fronts. Also, many of the crews have backpack water, and then we've got hose lines, and we can stretch hose lines for hundreds and hundreds of feet. In fact, we've got drills coming up next week regarding that. But so you can see up there's hose lines on the front of the fire. They've come in from the black into the so the black is the safe, and they're coming down to the fire front, and they'll apply water, and then they'll continue to extinguish it with their hand tools. And then of course we've got the air assets that are in place right now, and that is a combination of fire retardant, which is the red that you'll see. You can see that up on the hillside. And that slows down the fire. It doesn't necessarily put anything out, but it makes the grasses less combustible. And so those are airplanes that drop those, and then you've got helicopters that are dropping water. So those are a couple hundred gallons a drop, and they're filling up just north of us up here.
If someone lives in this area and they're not home right now, watching from work or wherever, what do you want to tell them?
I would say their homes are safe right now, and that that the congestion is not necessarily worth coming up here. If they've got somebody in the house, make contact with them with a cell phone, make sure everything's okay. But I suspect that there shouldn't be any problems up there in the homes at this time. One other thing I'd like to bring up, you've got, since we do have assets in the air, any drone use. I know people love to come out with their drones and try to get their social media pictures, but it's against the law. If you're found to be doing that, you can be arrested and your drone will be confiscated. So don't fly in the area, because if that happens, we have to ground our helicopters. That stops the firefight. That allows the fire to get bigger and more problem for the neighborhood. So don't fly your drones. Try to stay out of the area. And that's about all I have for that.